Welcome to Edulution 2.0. Edulution was originally created as an answer to the COVID-19 pandemic when the world went remote and students lost their opportunity to be in the classroom. To help prevent students from falling behind, Edulution filled the gap for those who didn't have Wi-Fi or technology. Edulution has supported the community for over 2 years, filling the educational divide through equity and access, ensuring that all students have a fair chance to learn and succeed in life. Our host is Ms. Pia Rosa, a Bronx-born and raised educator with a heart for her community. Let's start the show.
Hola, friends. Welcome back to Bronx Edulution. I'm your host, Pia Rosa, and we are going to be having so much fun today learning together. So today we're going to be learning about numbers, all about numbers. What was the last number you saw? Do you have a favorite number? My favorite number is 26 because my birthday is March 26.
Hello, it's Mr. John. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how I draw models to represent fractions. I will use rectangles and circles and demonstrate how I draw accurate visual representations. First, when we draw area models for fractions, and we want to use them to compare fractions, we must be sure that the whole is the same size. So I'm going to use this yogurt lid to start drawing, and I also have this can that I'm going to use to draw another whole circle. Now I can't use these two holes to compare two fractions because in my drawing shows that 1/4 is larger than 1/2. So when I use models to compare fractions, I have to start with the whole that is the same thing. So I can't draw things like that. I have to use the same size whole when comparing fractions. So let's get started. Feel free to draw alongside with me. This is a really good skill to practice and learn how to do well. I'm going to start with drawing fifths. I am not going to start with a rectangle, a whole, and then start to divide it up into fifths. Because what's going to happen is that my 5 parts are not going to be equal. So this won't work. So I don't do it that way. How I start with fifths is I draw the first fifth and then I copy it or iterate it until I have 5, meaning I have 5 fifths, and that would be 1 whole. And the fifths I just drew, they're not exactly perfect, but they're much better equal to each other than the first time I started. So now if I wanted to draw tenths, I'm going to start with the same whole rectangle, and I'm going to copy what I did for fifths because I'm going to use to compare them. I want them to be the same. And now to make tenths, I have 5 parts. I want to make 10 parts. That means I have to divide each of the fifths into 2, and that will give me 10 equal pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Each one of these is 1/10. I have 10 tenths, which is 1 whole. I'm not going to show you how to make a drawing of fifths using a circle. It's just too difficult to do well. But now that I have my drawing for fifths and tenths, I can make other area models for other fractions that I will need, and I will use the same size whole because I'm going to copy what I did for fifths and tenths. So let's start with the same size whole that I used for fifths. Just going to keep it up there and in view so that I don't lose sight of it. And remember, I'm not trying to have it be exact. I'm not measuring. I'm just trying to teach myself how to draw these. I don't have a ruler. I'm doing my best to make straight lines. All right, so I'm going to do, next I'm going to do halves. So I have my hole, and now I'm going to see where, I'm using my eye here, and I'm going to say that's halfway. Each one of these is 1/2. In order to show a half with a circle, I'm going to trace my, I'm going to use this larger can of olives so you can see it better. First, I'm just going to trace a hole, and I know I'm tracing rather than drawing the circle. This is the hole. Now I'm going to want to draw half, where I want the hole to be the same size. I have my half in a circle. Now I'm not going to compare my rectangle halves to my circle halves because they're different holes. So that wouldn't be right to do that. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to now draw, since I have halves, I'm going to show you how to draw fourths. Again, I'm going to copy the hole that I have so everything is the same length. This is going to be fourths. I'm going to start by repeating the line I made in the center that gave me halves, and now I'm going to divide each half into 2 equal parts as best I can, and these are now fourths. Building on this, I can draw my next fraction that I need. Again, I'm going to have the same hole, and I'm drawing them on top of each other so that I can compare them easily. This is eighths. Going to again start in the center, cut my fourths, and then cut each fourth in half as best I can. Each one of these is 1/8. If I needed to do 16ths, I think you can guess what I would do. Again, I'm going to start with the same length, a whole long rectangle. These are going to be 16ths. There's going to be 16 of them. Again, I'm going to do my best to copy what I did for the eighths. First I make fourths, then eighths. And now each of these 8 equal pieces, I'm going to cut in half. And I have 16 16ths. Each one is 1/16. Let me go back to my circle and show you how to do the fourths in the circle. Start with a circle. Okay, I'm gonna try my best to divide it into 4 equal parts. That's fourths. If I want to try to show eighths, again, I'm going to do my best to draw the circle, repeat it as best I can. Show the fourths again. And these are going to be eighths. And what I do when I make eighths for the circle is I start in the center, and to cut each fourth in half, I start in the center and I go out. Okay, and that's pretty accurate. Remember, I'm drawing these freehand. Okay, that's eighths. And if I wanted to do sixteenths, I would, again, draw the same size circle, do the half, do fourths, divide it again, do eighths, and then cut each eighth into 2, and that would give me sixteenths. Now that I have halves, fourths, eighths, and sixteenths, I'm going to start with thirds and draw thirds and sixths and twelfths. I may not need the twelfths, but I'm going to go ahead and draw them, show you anyway. So if I'm going to do my thirds, again, I'm going to stack them so that my eye can see how long this rectangle would be. These are going to be thirds. Thirds are not so easy because I have to use my eye and I have to figure out, make 3 equal pieces here. So let's see how I do. Okay, I think I did that pretty well. So I have 3 equal parts and each one is 1/3. When I want to make sixths, again, I'm going to start with the same size hole because I want to be able to compare them, right? These will be sixths. So I'm going to use the same line that I had on the top one, even if it wasn't perfect. And then I have 3 equal parts. To make 6 equal parts, I have to cut or divide each one in half again. And each one of these is going to be 1/6. This one in the end is also 1/6. Each of them is 1/6. Okay, now let's say I want to do 12ths, so I have it. I don't need that in 3rd grade or 4th grade. Maybe into 5th grade and 6th grade and on, I would need 12ths. So again, I'm going to copy what I did for 6th. And then I have 6 equal parts. In order to make 12ths, I have to partition, cut each of these parts in half. And I have 12ths now. So each one of these is 1/12. Now I can start showing you with the circles, and with the circles, I want to doing thirds and then 6ths and then 12ths. It all depends on doing a good job with the thirds. And I want you to think of a clock. So let me get started by drawing my circle, and I want it to be about the same size as the circles I've been using so I can compare it. Okay, so think of this now as a clock, and that's where the 12 would be. The 3 would be here, the 6, and the 9 would be directly across from the 3. Okay, now if I want to divide, there's 12 hours on the face of a clock. If I want to divide it into thirds, that means each part needs to take up 4 hours. So if I start at 12, my first part is going to be at 4 o'clock, and then 4 more later would be at 8, and then at 12. So let me start at the center. Start with this line. And now I have to estimate about where 8 o'clock would be. And now I'm going to estimate where 4 o'clock would be. And that's how I have pretty good representation of what thirds would be. There's another way you could do thirds, and I'm going to try to show you now. Okay, I'm going to start with the same circle. Circles are hard, take your time. And I'm still going to think of a clock, but this time I'm going to put in 2, and I'm going to put in 10, and I'm going to put in 6. Okay, find the center. Now this, when I do it, is going to look like I've drawn a Y in the middle. Okay. And those can also be thirds. Either way works best for you. Again, every 4 hours I've made a cut or a partition. From 2 to 6 is 4, from 6 to 10 is 4, and from 10 to 2 would be 4 hours. Okay, so if I want to do 6 now, I'm going to again start with a circle the same size. I'll show you both ways. So I have a circle the same size. I'm going to think about drawing the lines the same way that I drew them for the thirds. This on this side. Okay, so now I have thirds, and again I'm going to start at the center, and I'm going to go across. And really, I'm continuing the line that I have here because 3/6 is a half, right? So these should all be lines, but I'm not just going through. It's easier for me to draw a short line from the center radiating out rather than try to go all the way across. So each of these is 1/6. And if I wanted to draw 12ths, I would do the thirds, the 6th, and then cut each of the 6ths in half again to make 12ths. So this takes practice, but it is worth it so that you can compare fractions accurately and somewhat easily. And drawing the circle is harder. It doesn't have to be perfect. You do your best. And remember what I said about using the rectangles. When I drew the fifths, I don't start with the whole part and then start cutting it up, because my eye will not be a good judge and I will end up with parts that are not equal, so I can't use that. I want to just build each one. And then every other fraction after that, I start with the same whole. Well, I hope you practice this, and I hope you learn how to draw and represent fractions well and easily so that you can compare them. And until next time, this is Mr. John reminding you, when you do math, you can do anything.
One of the things I would probably say is just believe in yourself. Believe in whatever you feel, whatever is inside of your heart. Like, just believe in that and don't let anyone tell you anything different. If you have an idea, don't think you're too young. Don't think you're too small. Don't think you're, not incapable of, doing it. You just have to ultimately believe in yourself.
Hey, Dunbar students. Today we're starting our nutrition unit. And before we start this unit, before we jump into it, we are going to have a small micro lesson that deals with the definition of nutrition. So stay tuned and let's get started. I'm going to share my screen as we go over our micro lesson on basic nutrition. So, what is nutrition? Nutrition is the study of food, which includes how food nourishes our bodies and how food influences our health. So, nutrition deals with the benefits that it has on our body and the benefits that come with nutrition in regards to our health. So nutrition is so important. The reason we're going over nutrition for this month is because nutrition is a huge contributor to wellness, and wellness is the absence of disease in our bodies. So, and that could be physically, emotionally, or spiritually. Okay. Critical components of wellness. There's two huge components. Now, nutrition is one of these components. In addition to nutrition, we have physical activity. So in our previous fitness unit, I showed you ways that we could become physically active during quarantine and remain physically active to a level that is going to impact our wellness in a positive manner. So this unit, I will be teaching you how nutrition is going to impact your well-being in a positive manner. So we're going to continue on about nutrition and why it's so important today. Like we said, nutrition is a huge factor to wellness, and part of wellness is disease control. So nutrition can help prevent diseases. And without proper nutrition, there are a few diseases that us humans are prone to getting if our nutrition isn't up to par. Some of these diseases include scurvy, which is goiter, which is the second bullet, and rickets, right? And all of these diseases are diseases that happen when you become vitamin deficient, right? So you don't have enough vitamins in your body because you're not ingesting enough through your food, okay? There's also diseases that are influenced by nutrition, such as chronic heart disease and osteoporosis, which is a bone disease. So make sure that we have to get all of our vitamins and minerals in. So the reason I decided to focus on nutrition and take a step away from from fitness, is because no matter how much we learn to become physically fit, nutrition is what is going to stop the obesity problem, right? So our diet is what is going to stop this overweight pandemic that we are seeing in America. So nutrition has actually become one of the national goals of America since 2010. And ever since, we've been working on cutting our numbers down, especially in adolescents. And adolescents are children. So right around your age, there's a huge influx in overweight children, and nutrition is going to become one of the main solutions to this problem. So before we finish this slide, we're also going to learn about what a nutrient is. Now, a nutrient is a chemical in food, that are critical to human growth and function, right? So the nutrients are the good stuff that we receive from the food, which is how we maintain our nutrition, right? So the 6 main nutrients that we're learning today are carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, minerals, water, and protein. Now, what you're going to do next is you're going to go to your content in your PE course on iLearn, and you're going to find this nutrition unit right here, Unit 5 Nutrition, right? Once you find that, you're going to launch this unit. When you launch the unit, you should find yourself on this page. Oh, I'm sorry, I had to go back, guys. Content. There we go. So launch unit. So when you launch the unit, you're going to find yourself on this page. This is a description of what our nutrition unit is going to be about. I want you guys to briefly read through that. And then after you briefly read through that, you're going to find yourself on this quiz page. Now, the quiz has 2 questions, and the quiz focuses on our micro lesson that I just taught you on nutrition and nutrients. So all you have to do is start quiz. And we have 2 multiple choice questions. You are going to answer one of these bullets, right? So you're answering both questions 1 and 2, but you're only selecting one answer. So question 1, which of these answers below do not apply to nutrition, right? So you're going to read through these. Whichever you think does not apply to nutrition, you click, and that will be your answer. Same thing for question 2. What is a benefit of having proper nutrition? Whichever answer you feel is best, you're going to select, and then you do submit quiz. Once you're done, I'll be waiting for you to finish.
Hey friends, thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Bronx Edulution, a place where we can have fun while learning.
The Bronx Edulution. We are Bronx Strong.